Where the hell is my safe? It used to be in the bathroom, but it suddenly disappeared. Gotta call the police.
Wait a minute.
My husband swiftly quieted my panic.
You're such a drama queen. I took the safe.
What the? Why did you do that? It's my saving. What did you spend my $300,000 on? My husband shook his head disapprovingly.
Your money is my money. I bought a house to live in with my mom.
What?
I was going to tell you, but you found out, so I tell you now. Divorce me. I got your saving, so you're no longer needed.
What kind of surprise was this? I was too astounded by his triumphant attitude that I couldn't protest. Understood. Have a nice life with your mother.
Great, you're being so reasonable. So long.
Watching him leave cheerfully, I felt such gratefulness in my heart. Honestly, it turned out better for me that he took my safe. I was planning to destroy his life with what was inside anyway. What a fool to bring it onto himself. Forget the nice life. My name is Mary. I'm a 35-year-old housewife. I was living with my husband Dan and our daughter Lydia in a suburb. I met Dan about 10 years ago. After graduating from university, I joined the workforce and was introduced to him by my colleague. He had a gentlemanly appearance, and his personality was calm and collected. We were first friends, but it didn't take us long to romantically involved. After 5 years of dating, we were both close to 30 years old, and the words of marriage started popping up. We wanted kids for sure, so it was natural to go that way. We did get married, and a year after, we were blessed with our first baby. We became a family of 3 with a long-awaited our own daughter. It was such a joy to watch her grow fast. The little baby started walking alone one day and started talking next, and then finally she started preschool. But not everything was perfect. Dan and I, of course, had some quarrels, and there were times I was troubled with the childcare. But as with anyone else, I overcame the obstacles. Smooth sailing, yet I had one problem. Well, maybe not a problem, but more like an annoyance. Anyway, there was one thing which bothered me. It was Dan's mom, Anita. In other words, my mother-in-law. She lived alone in our neighborhood. Her husband was still with her until a year before. When he passed away, she decided to remain in the house. She loved him so much that losing him was quite hard on her. She caved inside the house for a while, but she must have accepted the reality and started coming out with a smile on her face. I was very happy for her for sure. However, it also created a problem. She had always been obliging and was willing to help us out from the beginning. But even though it was coming from her kindness, it became overstepping the boundary. For example, while everyone was out for work or school, she let herself in with a copy of our house key and cooked or rearranged room decorations. Not only this, but she also meddled with our family planning and advised on the plan to purchase our own house. "Hi, Mary. How are you? I prepared your dinner already, and the laundry is done too. They are still in the dryer." "Oh, thank you so much, Anita. But you don't need to do all that. We can take care of our own things." "Oh no, I don't mind at all. We are family. I can do even more if you'd like. You know, I will redecorate your bedroom sometime." I knew she really did these things with good intentions, but I still didn't get it. I didn't think she was malicious and tried to harass me or anything like that, which made it more complicated. I didn't want to disrespect her, so I consulted my friends. Some of them thought it was very nice of her, so I couldn't just bitch about it. I had spoken to Dan about her once, but there was no point. Hey, I want to talk to you about your mom.
You know, she has no ill wish, so let her be. Isn't it better that you don't have to cook and clean anyway? We need to appreciate her.
I just want her to let us know before she does something.
Man, you're too much. So should I tell her then? Whatever she does for us is unwelcome, so don't come over. Is that it?
Whenever I tried to speak to him about her, he ended up irritated with me. He was usually nice and calm, except when it was about his mom. He was the only son, so maybe he was trying to protect her after his dad passed away. Even so, I had a hard time accepting his stance. Then one weekend, the whole family was asleep until 9 a.m. I got up and went to the kitchen to make a coffee. I realized that I left my phone in the bedroom while pouring water into a machine. After setting it up, I went back to the bedroom. Dan and Lydia were still sleeping, so I opened the door quietly. As expected, they were still in their deep slumber. I walked slowly toward the side table. When I grabbed my phone, I saw the walk-in closet door was ajar. It should have been closed properly last night. I didn't have a recollection of going into the closet, so I assumed it was down. I walked toward the closet, and when I was about to close the door, there was something strange about it. I felt a swoosh of bad feeling and opened the door wide. No way! My safe is gone! I completely forgot about Dan and Lydia and screamed at the top of my lungs. What to do? Whoever thought such a thing would happen? I was in total shock and couldn't think straight. I finally came to the sense and I need to call the police. When I was about to tap the emergency button, Dan finally woke up.
What are you making the noise for? You're gonna wake Lydia up.
He yawned. Babe, my safe is gone. I need to call the police. I looked down at my phone to tap the button, but he rushed to stop me.
Wait a minute. Don't be drama.
Drama? This is drama. My safe is gone. Push disappeared. This is huge. He stared at me while he was looking for words. He looked suspicious. I thought he knew something, so I demanded, Do you have something to say? If not, I will call the police. He kept silent for a bit, and then he finally opened his mouth.
I took your safe out, and your cash card as well.
I was too stunned that my mouth was agape. I regained my composure and checked my wallet. Indeed, my cash card was gone. I turned to face down. He looked relieved from confession, like he had no care in the world. It made me even more enraged. Why did you take it without my permission? It's my saving inside. What in the world did you buy with my $300,000? My husband shook his head disapprovingly.
Your money is my money. I actually bought a house. It's a bit farther out in the countryside. I found quite a good-sized house for $300K.
What the hell? A countryside? What are you gonna do with your work? I have a job too, and Lydia will need to change her school. I raised my voice scolding him, but I could care less at that point. He frowned at me for being offended, and then he dropped a bigger bomb.
What do you mean? I bought the house for my mom and me, just the two of us. You've been unhappy with her. I'm not gonna keep letting you disrespect her and just look away.
Huh? Do you even know what you're saying, you idiot? I snapped at him. He told me to shut up and kept going with his rant.
I don't need a penniless wife now. Take custody and just let me get a divorce, okay?
I was too astounded by his triumphant attitude that I couldn't protest anymore. Then Lydia, who must have been startled by our shouting, woke up. I picked her up in my arms from the bed. He chose his mother over his precious daughter. If so, there was no point keep arguing with him. I decided, okay, let's get a divorce. Have a nice life with your mother, he said, grinning.
Great! You're being fair. Wait here. I will get the divorce papers.
Surprisingly, he had already prepared our divorce papers. He went out of the bedroom and quickly returned with them, which he shoved in front of me. I saw that he signed it already.
You can submit them. I'm going back to my mom's.
He started packing his things up. I stared at the size of his face for a while. It was like looking at a complete stranger. There was no sign of Dan I fell in love with. I'm hungry, Mommy. Lydia had no idea what was going on and spoke innocently. Let's have breakfast, sweetie. I walked out of the bedroom with Lydia in my arms. A few days after the incident, Lydia and I were spending time at home. I took a leave from work for a while. If I was to divorce, there were some legal matters within the company to be taken care of, so I had spoken to my boss about bits and pieces of my circumstance. He told me to take the leftover paid leave and take it easy. I really appreciated his understanding. I informed Lydia about the divorce. It was hard for her to understand the situation, but I tried to tell her as much as I could. Daddy likes Granny more than me? She asked simply and then stopped talking about him. How sad. I must protect her and never let her feel unfortunate. Mommy, your phone is ringing. I must have been deep in my thoughts that I didn't hear my phone. Thanks, honey. Can you play along while I'm on the phone? I picked up the phone in my hand and saw Dan on the screen. I expected him to call me sooner or later. Yes? He started ranting as soon as I answered.
God, you took a long time. Hey, what's that about? Why is there such a thing in the safe? You better explain.
He sounded half sobbing while shouting. As you can see, or it's more like as you can hear, it's evidence of you and your mom stealing my money. I know everything. You took the safe because your mom put it in your head, right? I mean, you're still responsible for being influenced so easily. Anita was the one who came up with the idea and sent Dan to do the heavy lifting and buy a house. I actually knew she was eyeing my safe for a while. One day, when she let herself in the house, she assumed I was out and didn't see me in the living room. I watched her going right into the bedroom, which made me wonder why. I followed and observed her quietly. She disappeared into the walk-in closet and made some noise, and then left the house immediately after. When I checked what she had done, I found the safe scratched with some metal or something. 2 days after the incident, my safe disappeared. I remembered about it after Dan and I had fight.
But when did you record this? You weren't around when we were discussing.
You really didn't know. I was actually there. That's why there is a recording. A day after he gave me the divorce papers, I went to Anita's house. I couldn't do much about getting a divorce and having my money used, but I couldn't stand to let it go without saying anything to her. When I got to her house, an idea popped up in my head. I was going to revenge on her. I too had a copy of her house key, so I decided to let myself inside and freak her out. It was nothing compared to what she had done, but at least something. As soon as I got inside, I heard her and Dan talking. They were discussing the house they bought in the countryside. I immediately turned on the recording on my phone without thinking. Then Anita started laughing in her glory. She was enjoying the conversation about how she managed to take my savings successfully. I finally realized it was all her doing at that point. I was outraged that I almost jumped on her, but I kept my cool and continued recording. When the conversation was coming to the end, I went back home and downloaded the data into a USB, and then returned to Anita's house. You see, I left the USB in the safe then. Are you gagging? Dan couldn't say a word after knowing the truth, but I heard someone else taking over. You bitch! What are you hoping to get from this? Your money is already spent, so there's no point anyway. Stop blackmailing us. She was hysterical. Indeed, the money had been spent as she said. I saw only a few $100s left in the safe. You're wrong. There's a point. I heard from someone that you bought the house through an agency, where Dan's friend works, right? Yes, so? He's my friend as well. I knew him before Dan and introduced him. What do you think he would do if he heard this recording? Maybe he would report to the police. Maybe he would return the money after canceling the purchase. If so, there will be a penalty of the breach of contract and cancellation charge. As far as the truth goes, the agent who sold the house was really my friend, but the rest was bullshit. But for Anita, the effect was remarkable, and her voice was trembling. No way! It's your fault for just hoarding up money. I spent it on behalf of you. What will you do for us if we can't live in the new house? You better have a good solution. She screamed some incoherent threat. I don't quite get what you're saying. I have nothing to do with you now, so do what you want. When I pushed her away, I heard her desperate scream and hung up on her. I finally felt a little better. After that, I contacted my friend at the real estate agency. He sympathized with me when I explained the situation and even returned my money. I had a little hope, but I didn't really expect it. He said it was for an old friend, but he also mentioned he couldn't stand cheaters. Either way, I was elated to get my money back. The house Dan and Anita purchased was actually non-cancelable. My friend said however long it takes, I will have them repay. Thereby, they ended up working like slaves to pay the loan. Unfortunately for Dan, he had already quit his job to move to the countryside. There was no work that would pay as much as he used to earn, so he was forced to take multiple jobs. As for me, I used the money to buy a brand new apartment and moved in with Lydia and my parents. They offered to support me in the absence of a husband. I swore as I stroked the hair of Lydia, who slept with her head on my lap, that I would do whatever it took to raise her to be an honest person, unlike Dan and Anita, and give her a full happy life.